Right, so I guess I found this, but when did we run into this dude, man? I don't remember. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I guess we. This was the dude that she was giving the painting to, but did we actually see him in flesh, so to say? How did we recognize him? I didn't know that we saw him in as an actual. We only knew him by name, so how did we recognize him in this place? Is this a plot hole? Question mark. But yeah, whatever. It's no biggie. I'm gonna grab some fucking chocolate. I always feel a bit reluctant to explore when you're actually escaping, because it makes like no sense, because it ruins the immersion. But you know. Shit.
Damn! The gas! Oh. My head.
Later. We need to move on.
All right. So the police officer came and saved us, huh? That's pretty cool, I guess. Even though we saw him get mauled to death by Sarah Hawkins' husband. What was his name? I don't remember his name. Whatever.
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Alright, so this is pretty cool in a way, right? I'm sure they will make sense of this somehow. And I like that you wake up in a peaceful place. So I'm gonna take a little break before I continue, right? And alright. I return after a break, and we're at the mansion, saved by the police from the prison asylum, I guess.
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Right, so I'm gonna check so everything is running okay. So I increased the sound from the game a bit more. It was low compared to my voice. That said, feel like they don't want us.
No. I want to know what Bradley and Dr. Colden have to say about all this.
Yes. Let's have a word.
Mr. Pierce, how do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
So I don't understand these options, but I want to ask this guy why the fuck he's alive and what happened when we were down in the tunnels or whatever below the mansion. This guy got fucking So what? I cannot choose?
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
Alright, so because I didn't skill enough in medicine, I guess, or because I didn't explore enough, because you can't really skill medicine. I cannot ask him why the fuck he's not dead. That's a bit hard to swallow, I guess. It makes sense to ask him. I must say it tilts me that this one is not available to me. But at the same time, it's, I guess, some degree I guess it's part of the game, right? And I didn't do it properly.
I found a Darkwater PD badge. Lost a colleague recently?
What the...
Bradley.
Ethan?
I'm alright, I just had a... It's gone.
You're sure?
If it's important, it'll come back. But I can't explain why Dr. Fuller would have that badge.
The man's a danger, believe me.
What can we do, Pierce?
That's also the thing. If this guy was not in the catacombs or the tunnels with us, I mean, how does he... Why did he agree to rescue us in the asylum?
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital. And called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, Let's get back to the business at hand.
Yeah, because, well... let's talk to the woman first.
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fulla's creation.
He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
I found a file bearing Sarah Hawkins' name in the Institute's basement.
It makes sense. A powerful family like the Hawkins had the means to hide such a disgrace.
But everyone knows the Fullers have been taking care of the Hawkins for at least a generation. And all were aware of Mrs. Hawkins' fragility.
Perhaps, but no one would allow a psychiatric internment.
From what I read in the file, Fuller used her as a subject of his experiments.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins, subjects of Dr. Fuller. Why those two?
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kinds.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan. And I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
It saddens me. We lost Dr. Bradley completely.
I have flashbacks. They haunt me.
What did they do to you?
There was that Dr. Fuller and a nurse. Blood everywhere. My legs, the pain, I couldn't bear it. I was screaming. They injected me with something. I woke up at the Institute. Bradley was there.
And how you scared us. You seemed demented.
You likely woke up during the anesthesia. No wonder those memories haunt you. What in God's name were they doing to you?
What happened afterwards?
When I woke up the second time, I was in a padded cell. That's where you found me, Doctor. After you released me, I got a good look at what's in store for the patients of the Riverside Institute. Hallucinogenic gas pumped into the cells. An infernal machine. Horrific medical experiments.
Impossible. Dr. Fuller would never do such a thing.
You should believe it, Ethan. What Mr. Pierce saw is precisely what I've been trying to prove. Did you discover anything else?
I saw people in hoods. They had stolen Mrs. Hawkins' paintings.
Who are you talking about? Why would they do such a thing?
I don't know, but they were a threat. They've taken over the caves under the mansion. They were performing some kind of ritual. One of the entryways was under Charles Hawkins' office.
We suspect Mr. Hawkins of being involved.
My patients believe the old islanders used to worship primitive sea gods. Could they be the focus of the cult?
Am I hearing this right?
So you think me gullible?
No, not at all.
What else did you uncover, Mr. Pierce?
Yes. The last one.
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He's not in the best shape.
Ooh, Sarah Hawkins. And that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what. Something was there, with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins, visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
Yeah, what better to confront the
He's
truth.
right. We can't ignore the truth.
But it could drive her mad.
Better madness than ignorance.
Yes,
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow.
I made my
Perhaps
decision.
I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Fuck yes. This will affect your destiny. So, I'm not a whiskey expert, but you're not supposed to have ice in whiskey, I think. So let's say we have one more, then we bail. We need to play this in an immersive way. Alright. No more nightmares. Quest. Sanders residence, huh? Alright. Cutscene.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. Let's talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins.
However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died.
That is precisely what brings me.
Well, look who's here.
It's the nice lady from the bar.
You know each other. Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker.
Miss Baker.
This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable.
To be an
Seem that you have to tell me.
alpha gangster, she's pretty beta. She goes to the office to let us have talk, so she has to wait.
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh,
She seems very attached
her. That's all he talked about.
to her husband.
Sarah Hawkins and her paintings.
It's because she's in ginger. You
Please
can't
forgive my tone.
love ginger people. They don't have
Fact
soul.
is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
He started raving,
Is it the truth?
screaming that a dimensional shambler had found him.
Mercy, that story again. Why have him interned?
That was when he began to convulse and twist with pain. Or terror, it's hard to tell.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not really sure of what I saw, or what I didn't see. But it's best that you weren't there.
I should have been there. What you're telling me is outrageous. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
So ask Fuller, he's the eminent doctor. But I would caution you, you'll find his treatments more terrifying than the illnesses he sets out to cure.
I'm not sure.
He no longer takes the trouble to receive me. He sends his secretary to tell me that I cannot see Francis. Me. His own widow. He must think that I am a terrible wife.
Outrageous.
Having abandoned him in such a way. But I only wanted what was best for him.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Okay.
May I ask you what Miss Baker is doing here? How do you know her?
My business with Miss Baker is private, Mr. Pierce.
Yikes.
But you do know what kind of business Miss Baker is in, don't you?
I am no fool. Please believe that much, at least.
How do you
How
know
did
Sarah
come to
Hawkins,
meet
huh?
Sarah Hawkins.
We were the wealthiest and most influential families on Darkwater. Of course we would know each other. And when Charles returned from Europe with his sweet little artist, she and her sinister paintings were destined to catch my husband's eye. He bought many of her works over the last 5 years. They adorn his macabre gallery.
I deduce that your husband already mentioned this dimensional shambler.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
Yes, please. Yes,
It
please.
is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders.
So I put the
I won't be
microphone
long.
a bit different to be able to sit back in my comfortable chair. So like I said, ginger and soulless. No wonder the guy was miserable.
The day the shambler came into the Sanders' lives.
Terrible painting.
house of artists. Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler. Finally. What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel? She despises Sarah Hawkins, but it's the painting she truly hates. Why? The Shambler. I need to see it.
This painting wasn't the best either, I will tell you that. Holy shit, this entire place is totally only rocks and shit like that. How can you live like this? Huh. So let's just explore a little bit here, right? Okay, so we end up here anyway. Can't open, no.
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Okay. Before we head on, just a second.